Okay, welcome. We are live on Friday afternoon. This is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the eastern coast of the United States of America. And we are here to talk about the English Premier League. We're here to talk about the English Championship, all the soccer knowledge that you want to know going into this weekend as we look to make a little loot and a little bit of cash to put in our pockets. And what was a very successful season last season, we will go ahead and do that again. Now, this soccer stuff has been the focus on our round robin show that we do on Sunday mornings. Uh, Confusing to little people why are we talking soccer and football, and understandably so. We just want to cover the niche. We want to be the soccer program that you come to. Which, speaking of, when I'm trying to look for guests for this show, that is not an easy thing to do. There are not many soccer handicappers out there here domestically here in the United States. So we need to be aware of that. And we're going to try to be one of the ground runners, the forefathers. Maybe they're out there. I don't know. I Googled forever trying to find guests. I only found maybe one or two or three different potentials. No one got back to me as of yet. But we'll find someone down the road that we can talk some soccer smack with for sure. So our focus here is the English Premier League. It is the English Championship. If you don't know what that is the league right below the Premier League. The bottom three of the Premier League get relegated to the Championship, and the top three of the Championship at the end of the season get promoted to the English Premier League. So if you're not good enough in the top tier, you fall down to the tier right below that, which is the English Championship. Almost as if it were your Baltimore Orioles to your Norfolk Tides kind of scenario, like a Major League Baseball team to a AAA team. Although these teams don't really have any affiliation, except if they're loaning contracts out to each other, which is a situation in which they'll give a player to another team for a sum of money. And that's usually a player that would be on the bench. That gets him reps for another team while he's still the property of the one team, if that makes any sense to you. So we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive menu. We got some graphics. We're learning the new studio, as you kind of saw me smiling with the deep end broadcasting thing there. And we're going to play along with that today. We messed with it this afternoon. Getting to start to learn a lot more and improvements to deep end broadcasting will be happening as we go through our shows. So this show is the Friday Soccer Paycheck. I am Stephen Murray. Once again, we are on the East Coast of the United States, Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we're talking about the English Premier League and the English Championship. We're going to do the same thing we do in football. We're going to move some lines. We're going to look for some parlays, and we're going to try to put minimum investment in to make the maximum profit. So we're going to actually just put a little bit of money down, and we're going to try to turn that into a great sum of money. Our theory is this. We want to do that, which, that's going to get some, it already does. We get a lot of, we haven't had feedback about our angle or our attack yet, but you don't have to go far on any other programming to see those that will criticize what we're trying to do. You will hear a lot of people wanting to get the best line. You want to get the best number. You want to shop book to book, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We do want to shop book to book. We do want to find the best kind of lines we have available, knowing that we're going to move them anyway. And we're going to move them to our satisfaction of where we think that we can actually make a really good profit and put that money in our pocket here at the end of the day. So that being said, with soccer, there are astronomical payouts at times. I mean, you can really get some really good odds just by moving some goals around, over goals, if you want to lay some extra goals on a point spread type of style and stuff like that. So we're going to deep dive the menu of the Premier League, the Championship, see what we can get involved with the minimum investment and a maximum profit. With weather going on this weekend, because you always want to look at weather with soccer, and we haven't had many rain days. So these players have, for the most part, this year, I've only seen a couple of rainy kind of games this whole season, and the last part of the spring, maybe the last month or two, I feel like they have been in a drought over there in the United Kingdom, much like the drought over here on the East Coast of the United States. You just can't seem to get any kind of rain. In a soccer game, that should bode well for overs if you have a dry playing surface. Traditionally in soccer, the first couple of months are kind of slow going, kind of nip and tuck. Not a lot of goals scored, kind of low scoring games a lot of times, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 even. We're starting to see that open up some more. So we're starting to see some more goals go up. The problem is these teams will start to take a break soon because we have the World Cup coming up. And a lot of the players who play for these hired teams like Liverpool and Man City and stuff like that, these guys will go to their countries, their native countries, and participate in the World Cup in Qatar or Qatar, whatever you want to call that place. So we need to keep that in mind. Sometimes rosters and players, they'll get their rest. They'll want to get their rest. They might take it easy on themselves. And it's going to be a little tricky as we navigate along. That being said, too, I think there's probably going to be some opportunity on some of these teams that might not have as many players going to the World Cup as well. So in the next few weeks, we'll kind of transition into that. We look to come to you live every Friday at 4 o'clock. That way you can replay us at your convenience anytime before the games start on Saturday and try to get your 1 hour fill on of what we have to say about the Premier League and the championship and the odds we can attack and try to take advantage of and make some money. All right, so we do have some fun new graphics. Here now, let's do a little tour around the studio just to show you guys. We're going to get better here. So there's Magic Johnson on our wall. There's some sunset pictures. If you need some photography, you can email the show at deepend757@yahoo.com. We may be able to frame you one of our nicer sunset pics here that we have in the studio. Here, there's me scoring in rugby. There's my lift-a-thon championship. Okay, all which has nothing to do with the soccer. Just want to show that we're kind of starting to play around with some graphics. There's a logo there. So once we get our logos good for all these shows, then we can go ahead and get better with all that stuff. All right. So we're going to do three segments, actually. We'll get you out of here in less than an hour. And we're going to go, basically, we'll just go game by game. So we're going to start with the English Premier League and the first game that is on the slate for Saturday morning. It is Leicester, and they host Crystal Palace. Actually, before we get to that, we'll go ahead and go down the table. And the table is something that I'll get for you guys squared away as well. We can get that up as a graphic here week to week. Like I said, we're just playing around in the studio now and starting to learn all this stuff. So in the Premier League, I can't say it's shocking at this point because Arsenal is a very good team. But Man City, as good as they are not in first place, Man City. They are in second place, and they trail Arsenal by 1 point in the standings. So with 24 points, we have Arsenal at the top. Manchester City has 23. Tottenham is right there with 20. Chelsea in fourth place, but now 8 points clear of the top spot. 16 points total. Now, Chelsea, they've been playing a lot better with Graham Potter since he left Brighton, the manager, after they sacked Thomas Tuchel. So Chelsea has been improving. Man United, which has been a nice surprise. I think a lot of people may have expected them to be towards the middle or even towards the bottom of this table. Man United is right there in fifth place right now with 15 points. Newcastle and Brighton both have 14. Brighton is on the air as we speak against Brentford. I'm sorry. Ivan Toney with a goal. So they trail at halftime 1-0 as we speak. We'll get close to a final score, I think, by the time we get out of here for today. That game will probably still be lagging on with a result as we get off the air. Maybe a reason to back end the show 1 hour so we don't have to talk about scores of a game that happened that don't have an outcome for, if you catch my drift. Bournemouth, they were the nice surprise here in 8th place. They have 12 points overall. They will play Fulham this week. Fulham is right there in 9th place. They are the other promoted team with Bournemouth, who have now Bournemouth has gotten up there with the draw. They have not won a lot, but they have not been beaten in 5 games, and that has gotten them all the way up into 8th place. I think a lot of people would think that they were in the bottom of the table. As we get down low, the bottom of the table gets very interesting. Fulham in 9th, Liverpool all the way down in 10th. That is a big surprise. Brentford, you figured would be around 11. That's where they are. Everton maybe doing a little bit better than everyone thought in 12th. And I would say that all of these teams have underperformed for sure. 13th through 20th, respectively, West Ham, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Southampton, the Wolves, Nottingham Forest. Well, I think we expected them to be there towards the bottom. And the real surprise, and in our first game, Leicester City. So Leicester City, they host Crystal Palace. The results for these teams are as follows. Leicester City in their last few games here, as we pull it up. Oh, here we go again. Okay, yeah. So Leicester City, they were losers to Bournemouth, actually 2-1 last time. Then they beat Nottingham Forest on the Monday game earlier that week. They got blown out by Tottenham 6-2. And they've just not have been doing well. Brighton had scored 5 goals on them. Man United was able to beat them. So Leicester, Jamie Vardy and company, James Maddison, they are right at the bottom of the table and completely not expected to be at least that bad anyway. They are, I think, 7 years now removed from earning the top spot in the championship and the top of the EPL, which was one of the biggest betting surprises of the universe that season. And they will be at home against Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace's form goes like this. They beat Leeds 2-1 last game. They lost to Chelsea 2-1. They drew with Newcastle. They drew, Crystal Palace. Yeah, drew with Brentford. And then they lost to Man City, which a lot of teams do. But they played really well. They actually had the lead in that game, 2-0. And then Man City inevitably pulled it out in the second half and beat Crystal Palace 4-2. So Crystal Palace in decent form. Leicester, they have the lone win against Nottingham Forest, who may be the worst team besides Leicester. They're right there at the second to the bottom of the table. They have not been well at all against any of the other opponents that they've had. They've been pretty much blown out in most of their games. So the odds for this are this. Leicester is actually the favorite at plus 135, and Crystal Palace is at plus 200 for the draw. Now, Leicester is kind of a wide open team. They don't have defense. Crystal Palace has really good defense, and they look to counter you and get their goals on your mistakes. Now, with gaping holes that Leicester can leave in the defense after they turn the ball over, which they probably should, then Crystal Palace will look to take advantage of that. Can Leicester score goals? I don't know. It's a tough scenario to try to pack it down. So I'm not sure about this game, to be honest. This looks kind of more like a drawish game. I can't recommend anything like over 3.5 goals or anything like that. I can't take Leicester on any kind of spread. I would think that Crystal Palace, with their speed, though, and if they're hungry enough, for sure, on this road game, Wilfred Zaha and company, that they have enough speed and talent that they can actually win this game. So at plus 200, that might be an angle that you look at if you're going to throw Crystal Palace into any kind of parlay. If you look at some goals here, and we look at away team goals, we'll look at the home team goal odds too. Let's see. Home team for Leicester to get 2 goals is plus 124. If you like Leicester to get 3 goals against Palace at plus 430, they could. That's kind of tough. Like I said, Crystal Palace can pack it in on defense. Away team goals for them. If you look for Crystal Palace, you're at plus 152 at over 1.5. And at 3 goals for Crystal Palace, you're at plus 520. At the end of the day, I just think that there are better options on the board than what we got with Crystal Palace and Leicester. All right, so we'll go ahead and pass on that. That is the early 7:30 game, so that will be the first one there. Now we go to Fulham, where they will host Bournemouth, and we'll click over to the lines there. Let's see what they got. Oh, here we go again. Always with the log on. Why do we have to log on every 5 seconds? Like, seriously. The frustratingness of live broadcasting. Yes, we're broadcasting and not just audio. You had a video today. And some graphics. How about that? As this show continues to grow. This network continues to grow. Okay, so 10 o'clock start Eastern Standard Time. We have Fulham and Bournemouth. Fulham is a minus 115 favorite on the 3-way, plus 320 for Bournemouth, and plus 260 for the draw. Bournemouth's been quite sneaky lately. They've been drawing a lot. They've been unbeaten. And maybe Fulham hasn't been quite playing up to their exact potential, to be honest. So they're both right there, mid-table. And let's go to the latest results. Let's start with Fulham first, because we talked about them. Fulham, they lost to West Ham last time out 3-1. They also lost to Newcastle 4-1. They were able to beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. They were postponed the Queen's game with Chelsea. Lost to Tottenham 2-1. They were able to beat Brighton 2-1. So that's their best game of the season. We're already coming up on a break. Lost to Arsenal in a good game. And so I would put that form, if we stop there, just not too good, especially losing to West Hampton, who's been towards the bottom of the table, and Newcastle, who's been really strong, really had their way with them. So Fulham is, if at any point of the season, if they've been kind of low, I would say that is now. So it's going to be kind of hard to buy on them, but they do have the prolific scorer in Alexander Mitrovic. So you can always try to look at props with him, and we're going to take a look at that too in a second. Bournemouth, last time out, they beat Leicester 2-1. They drew with Brentford 0-0. They drew with Newcastle 0-0. 1-1, I'm sorry. Bournemouth beat Forest 3-2, and they drew with the Wolves 0-0. Wolves having a horrible season themselves. Total goals for Fulham this year, they have 14. They have given up 18 goals. Bournemouth, they have given up 20 goals and have scored 8. So leaky defenses on both of these teams. And if we go to the odds, and when we're talking leaky defense, then you automatically have to start looking at the overs. So we'll start with a combined goal over-under. We got over-under 3.5 for Bournemouth and Fulham. And if we go to more goals, we might take a look at over 4.5 with that one. And that's plus 620 to get 5 goals for both of these. If you think that they can get super crazy and get a 3-3 game, 4-2 game, then we're looking at 15-1 odds at that to get 6 goals. Now, we went back to let me go flashback to the beginning now. We told you we're looking for a minimum investment for maximum profit. We're not expecting to win these games and these little round robin parlays. If we're going to do that, a round robin parlay is, again, lesson time. If you're new to the show or haven't been listening to the Round Robin show on Sundays, which airs live at 6 a.m., talking all the NFL football, hosted by me, sidekick nephew Dave. Dave Del Grande, always a good guest as well. So the round robin is this. You have a 3, 4, 5, 6, you name the number type of parlay, but know the more teams you put in it, the more money it's going to cost you. So if you do, for example, a 5-game round robin parlay, you're now going to have parlays with all of those teams in separate 2, 3, 4, and one big 5-game parlay. So there are, I believe, 10 different 3-game parlays in the 5-game combo in the 5-game round robin. So a total of 10 different 3-game parlays with teams A, B, and C, team A, D, and E, team B, D, and E, et cetera, et cetera. 4-team parlay, less combinations, but you'll get, team A, C, D, E, team B, C, D, E, and then obviously with 5-game round robin parlays, there's only one option because you only have the 5 teams and you can't scramble any more than that. So if we're doing a round robin, we're looking for minimum investment for maximum profit. So we're looking for blowouts. We are not looking for close games. We're looking for things that can potentially be a good blowout because they happen all of the time. In this scenario, we're going to look for a blowout towards the over potentially. Is this our favorite play? Maybe not. But if we need to fill in the void of maybe we like 2 or 3 things completely really good overall, and if we need to fill in the void, we'll go ahead and fill in the void with something like this. Now, do you want to get crazy and put in over 5.5 goals usually in your round robins? If you really have conviction, yes, you do. Because in a plus 1,500, if you parlay that to some other plus 420s and stuff like that, then we're looking at a very, very nice payout. We're not going to add this in quite yet. We'll do that in the last segment when we start calculating some fun stuff. But know that if you want to take Fulham and Bournemouth to score a lot of goals, which we could definitely see here because they both have leaked out on their defense, then the over 4.5, the over 5.5, you could definitely go for it. Even over 3.5 goals at plus 240 is fine. I'll be completely fine with that. Obviously, if there is rain, and we got to pay attention to the forecast, then more likely games will be low scoring. I think anyway. I don't know if there's actual proof in that rain games, but generally in the last few years, when I watch a raining game in the slop, then it is very low scoring. So recheck your weather closer to game time before you put your bets in. In fact, if weather is a question, don't put your bets in on the Thursday or Friday. Go ahead and wait closer to kickoff. That way you can do some maneuvering around. So we talked about Alexander Mitrovic. He's the prolific scorer for Fulham. Just to score 2 goals for Mitrovic is plus 430. That tells you how good he is. So I don't know if I would be all on board with that. Dominic Solansky, he's someone who could score 2 goals at 15-1. If we go to anytime goal scorers, okay, Mitrovic is minus 105. So he's actually a favorite to score a goal. We would look at a potential over in the Fulham and the Bournemouth game hosted by Fulham. We'll do one more and we'll take the break. I think we can fly through this game pretty quick. The Wolves, they have sacked their manager, so no manager for Wolverhampton. Wolves, the Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Wolves. Okay, they host Nottingham Forest. We talked about them. So these are 2 bottom feeders in the Premier League right now. The Wolves are actually a strong favorite at 135, to where the comeback pay for Nottingham Forest is plus 410. Plus 260 is the draw number. Now, if we look at the statistical breakdown for Wolverhampton so far, that's going to be West Hampton. That's the wrong team. So forever scrolling. All right, let's get to the Wolves. Again, so this is 2 of the bottom 3 teams at the bottom of the table. So very important that one of these teams wins for their sake. That will get them out of the relegation zone and into better position to do what they need to do to avoid going down to the English Championship. So if we look at Wolverhampton, I'm sorry, I keep saying Wolverton. 3 goals total for Wolverhampton this year. They've only scored 3 goals. So they don't score. Now, they've given up just 12. which, that's just about a goal a game at this point. And that's pretty good as far as defense goes. That will keep you in game with defense. But if you can't score at all, then you're not in good shape. Pedro Neto, we'll have to check his status. He was hurt and out last week. Keep waiting for Pedro Neto to explode for Wolverhampton. He's been one of our player props that we like to do for goal scoring. He has great form, but for whatever reason, when he gets right by the goal and he looks like he's getting ready to score, it literally goes like a foot to the right, something like that. But he can't seem to get on the scoreboard to save his life. Along with his teammates, they have Daniel Pedence, who's a fast little player. He showed lots of spark last season for Wolverhampton, who actually played decently until they kind of fell apart in the second half of the EPL last year. But Pedence hasn't been able to come through this year. 12 goals given up for Wolverhampton. Nottingham Forest, on the flip side, they've only scored 7, and they've given up 22. So leaky defense by them. If Wolverhampton is looking to get off of the snide, then it is this week for sure. Nottingham Forest, they did win their last game out. If you think that they can go back-to-back, simply them just to win outright at a plus 410 would be easy enough. I don't know if I can recommend them scoring over 1.5 goals just because of the Wolves' defense. And you can't really count on the Wolves to score, to be honest. In any kind of spread or they're only -1 plus 220. I mean, they haven't showed a capability to score, much less cover a -1. On the alt line for the Wolves, they are only plus 600 on -2, which makes no sense. You would think if they can win by 3 goals, you would want to get at least a 13 or 14 to 1 payout, which they will never really offer you that from the get-go. In game, you can get it up that high if you bet in game. If you want to do a exact score, and you think that this could be a 0-0, because that could actually happen, then that's 8-1 odds. Even a 1-1 is 6-1 odds. If you think Nottingham Forest can win 1-0 or 2-0, this might be the angle I take, to be honest. Consider the Wolves that they don't score. And that, what? I'm going to learn something here myself too. This is a strategy I like to take. And as we dissect this, and this is the reason for the show, you might come up with some gems like these. Now, I might take a chance on Forest if they're going to win and beat the Wolves, because they're a managerless team, so maybe kick them while they're down scenario, and they are coming off the win. For Nottingham Forest to win 1-0 is 12-1 odds. For them to win 2-0 is 27-1 odds. And to win 3-0 is 80-1 odds. So just $10 on all 3 of those bets. So if you put $10 on at plus 1,200, that wins 120. Obviously, if they win 2-0, that's going to pay 270 minus your two $10 losses. So you'll profit 250 there. But even at 3-0, the cash is 780 on an exact score for Nottingham Forest. If you can cover all those zones, so it's almost a win to nil bet if you've heard of those, but you're covering the exact scores and you're kind of hedging the other losses with a bigger gain on the winner, if that makes any sense at all. Even at 250-1, you might want to throw that in there, even for like $5, as that number could hit. The other thing is this too. If Nottingham Forest were to score 2 quick goals, then you can play the in-play correct score, and you can actually insurance that. You can insurance that with maybe even a goal with the Wolves, or even start to crank up the goals with the away team, Nottingham Forest in this case. So say it gets to 20 minutes into the game, it's 2-0. You're like, oh man, I got 3-0. I mean, this team's on a tear. They could get more goals. And that's when I want to start locking in 4-0, 5-0, maybe a 4-1, and try to make sure that you cover that whole roulette board, so to speak, to where you're actually going to come out with a nice profit on no matter what kind of play hits. So that's a good lesson. Glad we went ahead and deep dived into that one. We'll go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back with more lines. This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network. You are listening to the Friday Soccer Paycheck with Stephen Murray, live from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Eastern Standard Time, here in the evening on the East Coast. Oh, stop it.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Dependable Solutions can provide all voiceover services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com. It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water. I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. And we are back, the Friday Soccer Paycheck, here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network from the Virginia Beach, Virginia studios, East Coast of the United States. This is your live feed, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Looks like 4:39. Getting a little blind here. The 9's starting to look like a 0. Oh, I bought the big clock on the wall for a reason, too. I should look at that. So 4:40 Eastern Standard Time live and replay to follow after this. Okay, we have more games to get into. Enough about that. So we last left you with a graphic of Bournemouth and Fulham talking about the Wolves and Nottingham Forest. We're learning the new studio, like we said earlier. Funny as we go, for sure. Tottenham and Everton All right, so this is an interesting game at home. This should have a blowout written all over it, according to the preseason kind of expectations for both of these teams. Tottenham, of course, they are top three. They trail right now Arsenal and Man City. And Everton in the table is a little bit up higher than we kind of thought that they would be. So Everton comes in as a plus 550 payout if you like them to win the game. If they can make it a draw, plus 350. And Tottenham is minus 210 on the three-way. So Tottenham games go like this. And Everton, I've been not betting the Everton games all so far this year. So I'm not going to have any interest in taking them until they can show me some more sustainability than what they had last year. In fact, they're one of their better players is on Tottenham now. So they lose him, and I don't know. I can't take Everton. I can't have any faith with them. They are expected to be at the very bottom at the end of the day. They haven't shown that yet. So I'm going to stray away from them. Tottenham, on the other hand, is a team that I do like to play because they can score goals. So that is always going to be an automatic angle that we look at with Tottenham and Everton. Tottenham to score goals. So we're going to take a look at that first. Now, when you start looking at the Tottenham numbers and when we go to the props, this will kind of be explained more. Without me even having to see them, I can tell you that this is the case. Because Tottenham is somewhat more of a public fan team, and especially now in the United States, they have the nice new stadium. They're starting to play NFL football there. So everyone is starting to be a little bit more aware of that, the existence of them. And they have Harry Kane. They have Son. All right. So they have popular players. Rich Arlison, he's the player who comes over from Everton. Okay. So they have popular players, and that's going to keep their lines at a minimum, to be honest. When I say at a minimum, I mean they're probably going to be overvalued. Kind of like the Yankees or the Dodgers. If you want to bet them, you're going to have to pay. That's basically kind of the rule of thumb with Tottenham. So you got to know that every time kind of going in. And you really kind of had to reach for the big payouts. But they are capable of doing that. If we look at the straight spread with Tottenham and Everton, you get a plus 140 at Tottenham minus one. Now, for any just kind of regular 3-game parlay, even if you like your El Cheapo round robins, not to pay out too crazy, I think minus one is a fine play all day. That's the question. Is this a 2-0 game? Is this a 3-1 game? Is it a 3-2 game? I mean, that could screw you on the minus one for sure. But if you want to take a safe minus one at plus 140, I think that's fair. In fact, in the Champions League this week, Tottenham was bad beat in the 87th minute. They actually had a 3-0 lead at halftime, and they went ahead and blew that lead. And 3-2 was the final score in that game. And that would make any kind of Tottenham bettors upset. And in this situation, like we are looking at today, that would be us. We would fall into that boat. Just to lay minus 2 goals, and here's the premium that I'm talking about. Tottenham is plus 360. So you're only getting plus 360 to win by 3-0 or whatever. We'll look at different angles. If we just look at a simple over standpoint, plus 190 for over 3.5 goals. Again, we're looking for big payouts to put into a round robin to make maximum profit for minimum investments. So we're going to take obscure lines and not popular by most, I will say. But we're going to buck the trend, trust our system to make the money. We're going to believe that we can lose a lot of these bets, and we're going to win one that's going to pay for all the losses and then some. Okay, that's our philosophy. So plus 460 on over 4.5 goals, Tottenham and Everton. Over 5.5, you're getting plus 1160. I can't trust Tottenham. I can't trust Everton to get theirs. I'll look at a first half angle to start with. So the home team is Tottenham. Home team we'll look for the game first. Over 1.5 for the home team is minus 186. If we're going to assume Tottenham gets to 4 goals because they can score and get to 4 goals, then they are plus 540 to get to 4 goals. So that's going to be a bet we're going to keep in our pocket, I think. We're going to go ahead and take home team over 3.5 at plus 540, and hopefully Son, Harry Kane, and company can light it up. They have the capability to do so. In fact, they could actually really whitewash Everton if they play hot. But like I said, they've had Champions League games earlier in the week, so that might be wearing on them a little bit. We have World Cup coming up. Okay, so this is the stuff that we're going to start to get cautious on. But if we're going to go ahead and play it, we want action. We're going to look at over Tottenham 3.5 goals. They can score in 4-1, 4-2, 4-0, at least, whatever. If we look at them in the first half, let's see if they get a good payout for the first half. Plus 320 to get 2 goals in the first half for Tottenham is a nice payout. I would take that, and I would consider that all day. Where that over 3.5 is not a winner in the game we just talked about in the Champions League, and it is over 1.5 in the first half would have been. So we will take a look at that, and then even over 2.5 in the first half if you want to get really frisky, because Man City likes to do this a lot. All right, I'll give you a hint there when we get to them. Plus 1380 if you really think Tottenham can come out of the gates and smoke Everton. A prop that I'm going to look at, actually, and if there is going to be a lot of goals, they're going to feed Rich Arlison. And this is just coming to me now, to be honest, because he is going against his old team. He's going to want to score. He's going to want to get on the board. Everyone else has had their success. Son has been playing well. Kane has been playing well. If they can get Arlison going, Rich Arlison, then they can really, really crank up the offensive output and more. So he is just plus 750 to get 2 goals, Rich Arlison. So that's interesting. You would hope you would get a little bit more. But 750 for him might be an interesting angle. For him to get a hat trick, which he never does, but they might put him at the penalty line to really rub it up in him. Rich Arlison is 50-1 to get a hat trick. If you like Harry Kane to get a hat trick, 17-1. Son Heung-min is 24-1. And let's rewind a little bit because I see a player playing who has not been playing much at all for a while. He's been injured a lot, and that's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's going to be playing for Everton, and he is 19-1 to score 2 goals. In fact, if Everton were to stay into this game, then the big performance by him would certainly help. But we'll look for an angle. Anytime goal scorer, Rich Arlison is at plus 160. Oh, man. I guess the books are just thinking along the lines with me. I don't know if that plus 1. I don't even know if I'm interested in plus 750. But take my word for it. Watch him. He's going to get a goal tomorrow. I guess if you need to throw in, if you're going to do any goal scorer parlay, which I like to do, Rich Arlison, you could probably throw in the mix for this game. I think that's safe for that. All right, so Tottenham over home goals. That looks pretty juicy at plus 560, I think we saw. And then over 1.5 or more, maybe in the first half. We just kind of hope that we get a blowout. And it is good night, Irene, for Everton. Okay, so that is your Tottenham and Everton roundup. What is next? Aston Villa and Chelsea. So those are all Saturday games. Only Leicester is the 7:30 Eastern Standard Time game. Fulham, Bournemouth, 10 a.m. Wolves, Nottingham Forest, 10 a.m. Tottenham, Everton, Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday, Aston Villa and Chelsea. So let's go ahead and look at that. Actually, while we do that, I'm pulling all that up. Let's move the camera. So I got to be the production guy too. Enough of me. Oh, here we go. So our contacts for our shows, which these should be on graphics, right? There you go. All right. So those are all our phone numbers, stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Text the hotline 757-354-5517. We want to hear all your plays. Our website, go visit that, deepin757.com. That will link all our shows. I meant to play on that today, but I was here doing the studio. There's our sales email if you need that. There's our YouTube channel, our Twitter, and our Facebook. And we are broadcasting live on all these streams, actually. We are on Facebook, YouTube simultaneously. We got to get the Twitter going a little bit better. But go ahead and follow us there for now. And we'll update that as we get Twitterfied and get everything kind of improved on our end production-wise. Okay, soccer. Again, English Premier League. Give me the games, people. What are you doing to me? Again with the I don't see the one problem with these laws is that interesting. The problem with these laws is that they make you just log out every 5 minutes for your location. So every time we try to flip around screens, go to new lines, crap like that, then they're not there. We have to log in again, and you know what? You have to suffer. So Aston Villa and Chelsea. Aston Villa is the home team. They are plus 360. Chelsea is minus 125. We group Aston Villa into one of those teams that is disappointing so far in the year. They can't seem to score any goals, at least consistently. They can't put up any kind of sustained threat in an attack. Chelsea, where they started off rough, they have actually improved. So their last 5 games out. Let's go ahead and look at Chelsea first. They're the improved team. They're going to be the one that we want to, I think, focus on. I think they probably beat Aston Villa. So let's see what we can get out of it. Chelsea, their last time out, they won 2-0. That was in the Champions League earlier this week. They went ahead and beat. Who did they beat? They beat AC Milan. And then back in the EPL, 3-0 winners over the Wolves. They beat Milan again 3-0. They beat Crystal Palace 2-1. They drew with Salzburg. They had a couple of postponed games there. And that's just under the Graham Potter regime here now. So we won't rewind to Thomas Tuchel. That team will have no effect on what we look at now. So really, we look at Chelsea in good form. They haven't lost yet. So that is going to be optimistic for us going forward. And how come they don't put Aston Villa up here next to Chelsea? This is why I need to print stuff out and circle it for show prep. All right, Aston Villa. Let's see. What have they done here lately? So in their last 5 games, Aston Villa. So funny. Okay, sorry. Aston Villa, they have drawn with Nottingham Forest 1-1, draw with Leeds 0-0. They have beaten Southampton 1-0. They have drew with Man City, which that might be a big surprise at this point, 1-1. You just got to give that to Man City not being up to speed yet. And they lost to Arsenal 2-1. So they've only scored 14 goals on the year so far. They conceded 18. I'm sorry, Aston Villa has only scored 7 goals so far this year, and they've conceded 11. To the odds. We're going to look at Chelsea. Okay, I got it. Seriously, I just need to stay logged out of these odds lines where I'm getting these various lines. Because if I try to log in and try to play it the faster way, that just doesn't seem to work. So we'll stay logged out, and hopefully we'll have less pauses as I play producer and show announcer at the same time here. All right, so Chelsea's minus 125, Aston Villa plus 360 at home, and plus 260 on the draw. I think you only take Aston Villa if you put them on the do list, and you think that they are going to be due to win. That's the only time you take the plus 360. Hey, on a good note, I mean, they're a decent established team getting a big price where you're not going to have to do much except just win the game if you want a good payout on any kind of big parlay bet. So a good payout if you like Villa straight up. If you like Chelsea, though, and we haven't seen Chelsea completely put the hammer down on teams like a 4 or 5-0, although they've been winning 3-0 and stuff like that. Chelsea, if you lay 2 goals, is going to be a much better payout than the team like Tottenham was. But they are on the road, plus 650 to lay the 2 goals. And as far as a regular spread, just to lay a goal, that is plus 250. Man, I just don't see that. I see 4-1, 4 to, I don't even know if Aston Villa can get 2, to be honest. I'd like to see Chelsea get up to 4 goals. So maybe we'll take a look at them at -2. If they get the 4 goals, plus 650 should be a good enough price. But if they get over 3.5 goals themselves, what kind of price we're going to get? We're going to get 10-1, and we won't have to worry about an Aston Villa, what they score. As long as Chelsea gets to the 4 mark, which we think they can put the hammer down and get to 4 goals, we're going to get 10-1 odds. So that's going to be one we're going to probably throw into the round robin, just on the sole fact alone that 10-1 in a round robin is going to pay very, very well. Chelsea over 2.5 goals is plus 340, and I think that's over. Besides any kind of spread, I would take that for sure, considering they are on the road and Villa could actually get a couple of goals. If you want to go straight over under, you think both teams will have success because Aston Villa is on the do list. If that's the case, then most likely they will score. Let's see. Over goals for the game, over 4.5 is plus 720. That's a pretty nice payout for combined goals. Over 3.5 is plus 270. I think that's fair. If you want to take a safe, cautious route, it could be 4-0 Chelsea, to be honest. If you want to take Aston Villa on just over 1.5 goals, that's plus 290. So you're getting almost 3-1 odds on the dog there at home just to get 2 goals. Now, if they get hot and you think they're due, that's not a bad bet. I could see taking both of these, actually. Looks like there's kind of opportunity on both sides. If you're going to give Aston Villa a little bit of credit for once for being able to score where they really have not been able to show that they can do that, then I think this is a good chance to jump on some of that as well. All right. As far as goal scorers, let's see. Anytime goal scorers, Kai Havertz is at plus 210. You might want to take a look at that. He's been on fire. Raheem Sterling at plus 250. I think he's always worth it. In fact, what's Sterling for 2 goals? I would like to take a look at that. Sterling for 2 goals is at 15-1, where Rich Arlison is at plus 750 for his 2 goals. I would trust Raheem Sterling at 15-1 to get 2 goals for himself. So almost a double payout there. If you like someone like a Christian Pulisic, if you're an American, he is paying 16-1 for Chelsea. Mason Mount, who has not been on he is on the do list himself. He is 21-1 odds for Chelsea to get 2 goals. Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings for Aston Villa are both 21-1 odds. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, if you want to take a real stretch there, if you think he can come in and get 2 goals. Loftus-Cheek at 47-1 odds for 2 goals. That's kind of interesting there himself. Now, he hasn't had 2 goals yet. At some point, he probably will, just because of his name alone. So, I don't know. More of the story there is I think we have lots of opportunity in that Chelsea-Aston Villa game. That's a 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. All these games are going to be 9 a.m. except for our very last one. Sound effects coming soon on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go to our next game. Let's make sure we get the right one. Okay, Man United and Newcastle. So Man United and Newcastle. I need to get rid of that page altogether. Man United, again, a pleasant surprise so far this year. They've played above expectations from all. Newcastle, on the other hand, has lived up to their expectations, where no one was going to give Man United somewhat of a chance this year to contend. We went ahead and have watched them play very well. And their opponent, Newcastle, they have been very well as well. So let's get the recent form for these teams drawn up. And we need to get off the Chelsea page, off the Wolverhampton page. All right, let's click over. Why are we on the Wolves? Premier League. All right, cool. I like this better. So again, Man United, they are right above Newcastle. They have 15 points. Newcastle with 14 points. They both have played. Actually, Newcastle has played 9 games, and Man United has only played 8 games. So an advantage there for Man United. So really, as far as that's concerned, just for the head-to-head sake alone, a pretty important point for pretty important situation for Newcastle against Man United, as this head-to-head matchup can nullify any kind of point gain for Man United while still having one game to play coming up. So, with Man United, let's look at their current form. They went ahead and won their Europa League game 1-0. They beat Everton 2-1. They won their other Europa League game 3-2. They lost to Man City 6-3. We actually watched that game on air. Now, Man City is just a beast, but Man United was able to still get 3 goals on Man City. So that should say something about them. Let's see. They have not lost since a Europa League game back in, do they have a date for this game? Man, it was some time ago. No date. I don't see a date anywhere handy. Anyway, last time they lost was to Real Sociedad, and that was about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games ago. So it's been a while. So Man City, they are playing very, very well. As far as Newcastle, they're coming off 5-1 winners over Brentford. They're coming off 4-1 winners over Fulham. They drew with Bournemouth. They drew with Crystal Palace. They lost to Liverpool 2-1 in what was a fun game. They actually drew with the Wolves 1-1. And so they're in blowout form as of the last couple of games, and then they've been playing everything kind of nip and tuck. But it looks like they finally have met their stride on offense. And again, I think this game probably reeks over goals, to be honest. I don't see how these teams play it close and tight, low scoring. I think you actually get over goals here. In fact, just over 2.5 goals is a big favorite at -140. And over 3.5 goals is plus 180. If we can go ahead and look at exotic higher goals, which I think we can do, then plus 440 for over 4.5 goals, Newcastle and Man United. As far as the spread goes, I don't know. I mean, Newcastle's on the road at Man United. Man United's laying the goals, so they're plus 270 on -1. I'm not going to see that happening. I'm not going to see them either at -2 at plus 650. Not a good enough price for me. I think you just take a strict over goal scenario in this game. As far as 2 goal scorer chances here, if anyone stands out, Cristiano Ronaldo is only at plus 470. Anyone else? Marcus Rashford, 11-1. He's not shown it yet. Bruno Fernandes at 11-1. He seems to be able to get on the board. He's having a very nice season. Sir Maximum for Newcastle is due for 2 goals. I would say that. And he's paying 34-1 for Alan St. Maximum for Newcastle. If he's in the starting lineup, you might want to look at him potentially. He has that fast break ability. So plus 3,400 for 2 goals. You might want to take a look at that. So we'll go ahead and look for over goals in this game. We'll play over 4.5. All right, Leeds and Arsenal. Leeds is at home. They're plus 500. Arsenal, the favorite, on the road at -185. Leeds plays feisty for Jesse Marsh, their manager at home. Arsenal is a machine. They score goals, and they've been a beast. Is this another over game? It could be. It actually really could be. The way Leeds plays could actually open up the field for themselves and for Arsenal completely. Over 3.5 goals is just plus 154. And over 4.5. Let's make sure we get on the right graphic here. Are we on our right graphic here? Man U, Southampton. We missed this one. All right, so we didn't type this graphic in. So, learning lesson, double check your fine print, people. Make sure you got your graphics right. Okay. All right, so Leeds and Arsenal, where do we leave off at? Leeds, Arsenal. So for goals, over 4.5, that's the next one we're looking at. What's kind of our payout here at plus 370 just to get the 5 goals, man? I don't know. That's not a lot of payout for a lot of goals. So I'm not so sure we're going to look at that. Away team over, if we're going to look at Arsenal just to get goals themselves, to get 3 goals is plus 176 for Arsenal. For them to get all the way to 4 goals is plus 500. Can they get that against Leeds? Yeah, I guess. Tottenham is a juicier price for sure. You put this one on the back burner. I don't know. Maybe you just kind of leave this one as a scratch for this week. But Arsenal getting a lot of respect in the market with their goal scoring now, and it reflects in the over-unders. We'll put Arsenal over 3.5 goals on the back burner. Leeds at home might be a lot feistier to give that up, though. Although Arsenal's been playing very, very well, too. They can definitely get the goals. Okay, let's go ahead. And I know we do have the graphic for this one. This is somewhat of a stink fest. Sunday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern time, we have Southampton as they host West Hampton, which that's interesting. I never noticed, and this is the actual right way I did it, is the spelling for Southampton is one word, while West Hampton is 2 different words. So we learned something there for today. Okay, so the goals for this game, I can't trust either one of them. West Ham, if you think that they got off the snide, they got 3 goals in their last game against Fulham. So if you think that they can get off the snide from scoring goals, then let's see. Well, the spread alone, -1 goal for West Hampton is at plus 420. That is something I would actually look at. They're a team that's underachieved. Southampton is, they do have some nice players. They're just at the bottom. You don't see them swimming to get their head above water, so to speak. They're just going to kind of drown there at the bottom of the table and maybe even get flushed out to the championship. So the West Ham at -1 plus 420 is kind of a juicy price. If you think that West Ham can go off, which there's a chance that they could do, 11-1 plus 1,100 is a really nice price for a West Hampton team to win 3-0 or 4-1 or something like that. As far as goals go for the away team, let's just look at that real quick. Away team over 2.5 goals is plus 470. Now, if I'm going to pick them to win, let's see, what's plus 3.5? Oh, away team over 3.5 goals is 13-1. Man, I think I just feel better if they skunk Southampton because their defense has been good. -2 at plus 1,100. They can only get to 3 if they get the shutout, but you get plus 13-1 if they get the 4 goals regardless. I think there's something to look at there with West Ham. Although it's kind of a stink fest and they haven't shown it, you kind of want to find an angle under the radar, and West Ham could be that angle this week. And they broke out. They won 3-1 in their last game. As far as other form goes, Southampton with just 7 points on the year, they lost 4-0. They lost to Everton 2-1. They lost to Aston Villa 1-0. They lost to the Wolves 1-0. So they are really, really down on their luck, and they're not scoring goals at all. They just have 2 goals in their last 4 games. They did beat Chelsea 2-1, but even before that, they lost to Man United. And then if we go ahead and look at West Ham, let's see if we see them trending up more goals. 3 goals their last game. They got 2 goals actually in their Europa League game. They got 2 goals against the Wolves after they lost to Everton 1-0. And they have been scoring games outside in their Europa Conference. So it's not like they haven't been scoring fully. They haven't been scoring in the Premier League, and they seem to have been picking it up here the last few weeks. So we're going to go ahead and lock in West Ham, I think, at the end of the day for our picks. We're going to look at them at a -2 or an over goal, away goal scenario. Okay, we got a break coming up, and then we're going to go through the championship. We'll go ahead and get off the air. It looks like we're running long today, of course. Last game, Man City and Liverpool. Liverpool is plus 280. Man City is a -120 play, and this is going to be a good game. Liverpool is the home team. Man City, I think, though, is going to want to come out and prove a point. So we're going to look at the over goals, which I think is going to happen anyway. Plus 116 is over 3.5. If you think that these teams can get to 6 goals, which that is very feasible to do in this game. Let's see. Over 5.5 is plus 630. Over 4.5 is plus 280. I just think they can get to 6 goals, to be honest. Plus 630. So we might want to take a look at that. Away team goals. If we think Man City is going to win, plus 560 for Man City to get to 4 goals. I actually kind of like that the best. So Man City away team goals over 3.5. They can score in Liverpool. Plus 560. They have the dominant player as as the all-time out of the gates champion goal scorer. Erling Haaland is -136 to score a goal. Wow. Kevin De Bruyne is at 2-1. Mo Salah plus 175. If we look at 2 or more goals, then Haaland is only at plus 330. And this guy gets hat tricks all the time, it seems like. Salah is 9-1. That might be a good angle. Mo Salah to get 2 goals for Liverpool. So if you're going to do a player prop, that might be something to look at. Kevin De Bruyne, he's getting paid nice this week at 11-1. So if you're going to take him for 2 goals, this is a week where he's paying a lot better than what he has. Outside shots with Jack Grealish is 25-1. Ilkay Gundogan is 22-1. Diego Jota is 12-1. Phil Foden, 12-1. Robert Firmino is 13-1. Thiago is at 100-1. Joe Cancelo, 100-1. That is something that can happen. He joins the attack a lot from the back. And if he's in that starting lineup, if Joe Cancelo at 100-1 for 2 goals, you might see me jumping on that one. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a break. We'll wrap it up with the championship. We won't keep you too long. We'll just go over the games and see the ones that we like of the few picks there. This is the Friday Soccer Paycheck on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. Services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Deep Endable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com. It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. All right, we are back. This is the Friday Soccer Paycheck. I'm Stephen Murray, Deep End Broadcasting Studios out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Eastern Standard Time, as we just passed 5 o'clock on the East Coast. We'll go ahead and get you out of here pretty fast. Text hotline, if you have any questions for the show, 757-354-5517. Of course, all our content can be found on deepend757.com. Our YouTube channel is deepend757 Broadcasting, and we are broadcasting today for the first time on multiple platforms as we enhance the studios and get better along the way around here. Okay. So let's go to the English Championship. We're just going to go down the table real quick. We'll take a quick look at the games, and we're just going to go ahead and give the ones that we're going to go ahead and take a shot with, because we're not going to play the full menu of the championship, or we might play more EPL games. But that being said, generally we are due for an over alternate lots of goals scenario. So keep in mind the weather. Check your weather. If you have nice games, then don't be afraid to maybe pinch some of these overs, as I think that we're due. These teams have been playing for a while. Uh, see who's in better form here as we'll take a look at all that. And, play some of these better teams who've been scoring, like at the top of the table. Sheffield United, they have 24 points. It's a three-way tie, actually, with Sheffield, Norwich, and QPR. QPR is the Queen's Park Rangers. Let's see. Now, Sheffield has only played. Now, they've all played 13 games. They've all scored about the same, 21, 20, and 19 goals, respectively. And they're all giving up about the same. Sheffield just 10 goals and 13 apiece for Norwich and QPR. So we have Burnley down below them. This is Burnley's first year in a championship after being relegated from the Premier League. Norwich as well. So both of those teams are living up to expectations. Reading is the surprise. They're picked to be one of the worser teams, worstest teams of the English Championship. But Reading, they find themselves all the way up in 5th place. Swansea has been playing well. They won 4 games in a row. So they now have 21 points. Blackburn, they're on a win-loss. They've been very inconsistent, but they are in 7th place. Preston North End, the team that we have talked about, and they were scoring very minimum at one point, but allowing very minimum. They were a complete over machine. I think if you had them the first 12 games in a row, first 11 games in a row, they were all under 2.5, and they were easy winners. So Preston has been North End, if you had the under in their games to start the season, have been very well. They have given up goals as of late. So they are not in their low scoring game form. And so that we might even take a look at that angle ourselves this week. If they're starting to give up goals, then we might look to take advantage. Wigan, a team who has been promoted to the championship, they're in 9th place. They've won 2 of their last 5. They've lost. So they're cooling down. They started off hotter. They've lost 3 of their last 5, 1, 2, but they have 19 points. Luton, they now have been playing better. They have a couple of draws and a couple of wins after they started off really slow. Bristol City, they won, lost, draw, loss on their end. They're in 11th. Cardiff, Sunderland, and Watford and Millwall, all right there, 18, 17, 17, 17 points. This is really a log jam here in the middle of the table in this league for sure. And a lot of you see about equal everything with these teams. Win, loss, draw. This is a much better graphic I've been looking at compared to the EPL. So I think I might have found my better stat, less pausable way to go over this stuff with y'all. Sunderland, where they started off hot, they've now drawn and they've lost the game. So they've kind of cooled down a little bit. Watford, they dropped from the Premier League last year. They're not playing so hot. They've lost a couple in the row. Millwall, they won their last game. As we get kind of towards the bottom of the table, Birmingham, they've only lost 1 of their last 5, so they're improving. Stoke, they are improving. They've only lost 1 of their last 5. They won 2, drew 2. Same with Birmingham. So they are improving. Stoke is playing Preston, actually. Rotherham, they've 2 draws, 2 losses in their last 5. Blackpool, they finally get off the snide. They were on a bad spell, but they finally won a game. Hull City is having a bad, tough run here as they're starting to fall towards the bottom of the table. They were closer to the top, or the middle, I should say, but they've lost 4 out of their last 5. Middlesbrough, West Brom, Huddersfield, and Coventry sit at the bottom. Coventry, you must note, they've only played 10 games. They had the sick COVID outbreaks or unplayable field conditions, I think was the main thing, actually. So they have makeup games to play. Huddersfield started off bad. West Brom must be one of the more disappointing teams of the year. And Middlesbrough, too, for that note. Middlesbrough just 4th from the bottom. Middleborough close to the playoffs last year, and then right here towards the bottom of the table this year. So if we're going to look at these games in the championship, we do have a good game. We talked about Luton and QPR. I think me and Nephew Dave kind of touched on this game earlier in the week on whatever show we were on. But Luton, they've been in decent form. They're plus 110. They are the favorite. QPR, the away team, is plus 240. I think we take a chance on QPR. We're going to hope that the cream rises to the top. And QPR, the Queen's Park Rangers. And this is the early game tomorrow morning. So this is going to be isolated by itself. We're going to look for away team goals for QPR. For QPR to get over 2.5 away team goals is plus 800. So that's a nice payout. Plus for just 2 goals on the road is plus 220. So if you want to take a look at that, that's fine too. You don't have to worry about them winning. Just to get 2 goals is plus 220. But a plus 800 for away team goals for QPR, I think we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see here. Trying to get us squared away here for the end of the broadcasts. Try not to keep you guys on here too much longer. Too much soccer to go through. We'll condense this. We had to explain the show. Rotherham and Huddersfield plus 120. This is actually an early game too. So this is going to be a 7:30 a.m. game. Rotherham is plus 120. Huddersfield is plus 230. I think we're going to pass on that one. Middlesbrough and Blackburn. Middlesbrough, like we said, closer to the bottom. Blackburn closer to the top. Now, Blackburn is at plus 290. That is actually a pretty nice price for a road team that's been squarely better than the home team. So Blackburn at plus 290. We might take a look at them as far as an outright winner. And, you know, if they win 1-0, which a lot of these championship games end up being, then we can go ahead and do well there. Now, for Blackburn to get over 1.5 goals is plus 255. Here, we'll go ahead and be producer again. Move the camera. I don't know what it's looking at. Let's see. Is there any other games? Now, you know, besides that, we're not going to talk about this game too much. Let's see. So Blackburn is an angle there. Sunderland and Wigan. Sunderland is kind of down. We'll pass on that. Cardiff and Coventry, I think we'll pass on that. Sheffield and Blackpool. Let's look at Sheffield because they are one of the more popular teams here in the championship. Well, they are in first place. Fun studio. Woo! Okay, so Sheffield. Let's see here. Let's get our trusty graphics. See, this is when I can point to Nephew Dave, tell him to, when we do the show on Sunday, Nephew Dave, I can point to you. I'll give you the signal that I'm doing the graphics. And you can take over the command while I try to multitask terribly and getting graphics up and talking about things. Okay, so Sheffield, and this is Leeds Arsenal. No, Sheffield Blackpool. Sheffield Blackpool. So goals for Sheffield. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that. We're interested in this. So home team over 2.5. For Sheffield is plus 230. Man, I don't know if that's good enough. I would rely on them to shut out. If they can get to 3 goals, then I'm going to hope for a 3-0 game. Sheffield -1 is plus 360. Alternative spread. Plus 430 for Sheffield -2. They are the best team. I guess that's a decent payout. Blackpool, yeah, they're not playing so great. So maybe we go ahead and take a look at Sheffield -2. We're going to get plus 430 there. What is Sheffield over? Let's take another look at another angle real quick. So home team in the first half, 2 goals is plus 360. That might be a good one. So Sheffield to get 2 goals in the first half, plus 360, and you hope that they come and smoke them out of the gates. Overall home team to get 4 goals is at plus 680. I would almost like them just to get 2 goals at plus 360. If you kind of double that, that's plus 720, but you're only getting paid plus 680 on the over 3.5, if that makes sense. If they're going to get 2 goals and a half, you would think it kind of doubles. But Sheffield for home goals, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And the other one game, let's see, we're going to scroll down. Bristol and Millwall, we'll go ahead and pass on that one. Preston and Stoke. Since Preston's allowing more goals, we're going to take an opportunity, I think, with Stoke, since they seem to be playing better. They're plus 220 straight up. And Stoke was one of the better teams last year. So they've been kind of underachieving, I think. So maybe a chance to get a good number on a team that's been underachieving. If we're going to look at Stoke goals, away team goals for Stoke is plus 830. So that's going to be a nice, juicy payout if we go plus 830 on Stoke away team over 2.5 goals. So we'll take a look at that one. As far as the first half goes, away team first half, wow, to get 2 goals in the first half, you're getting paid plus 1040. 1040, 10 to 1, over 10 to 1 odds of Stoke can somehow put 2 goals into the back of the net against Preston, who's been all of a sudden leaky in the goal area. Man, Stoke at 10 plus 1040. That is why we do the show, people. That right there in a nutshell. We are finding good numbers. All right, so we're going to lock that one in, I think. Reading and West Brom, 2 teams who maybe are on opposite ends of the table from where they should be. West Brom, as bad as they've been, is the favorite on the road at plus 110. That is crazy. Reading at home is at plus 240. So if you like Reading, let's just see what they get for home goals even. The one Reading game I watched, they were really, really bad. They lost 3-0 to Sunderland. Reading, so home team goals for Reading. Home team over 2.5 goals for Reading is plus 750. I don't know if I can advise that, but maybe if they get 2 quick first half goals. Reading over 1.5 in the first half is at plus 940. Wow, so that's a nice payout too. If you think the Royals can beat the Baggies of West Brom, trying to know the mascots for these teams is kind of funny too. Although West Brom, I think, is one of the first teams I try to start to kind of follow for the most part. Reading may be at home, since that's just a weird line. West Brom at the bottom of the table is the favorite over Reading, who's the 5th place team in the table. So a big dog at home for Reading. I'm going to have to take a look at that, I think, as well. Swansea, we talked about them. They're red hot, but they're playing Burnley. So this is 2 teams towards the top of the table. Swansea's prone to over-goal games. We haven't seen that from them yet. Burnley is too, since this is the easier division for their talent per se. An over 4.5 goals scenario for the 2 of them is at plus 610. I don't know if I could advise over goals for either one of them. You could take over goals for both, and probably, actually, if you took over 2.5 for each team, Burnley's plus 285. The away team is plus 1060 for Swansea. So Swansea at away team goals, I'm going to have to take a look at that. Folks, if you start round robbing these 1060s together with the 1200s, and really you're just asking some of these teams just to score 3 goals, it doesn't matter if they win or they lose, then as far as a dice roll for these exotic overs for the team props, man, or goal props, I think you kind of go for it, man. You take the risk. Really minimum risk for maximum reward. You don't have to put down much when you're putting together a bunch of plus 1040s and plus 1200s. Let's see. Hull and Birmingham, we'll ignore that game. We have Norwich. They're at home against Luton. Norwich. Home team. let's see, home team goals for Norwich. That's the only angle we would potentially take. Home team for Norwich, over 2.5 goals is plus 310. That's completely fine for a round robin type of play. I'm not going to rely on them to get 4 goals at plus 900. They just really haven't shown that yet. Been kind of wanting them to taking a little bit of a chance on that, but they haven't done that yet. Norwich and Luton is just a Tuesday game. Okay, so let's go ahead and recap the championship real quick. We're going to look at goals for QPR. So away team goals there. Feel free to get exotic on your over QPR away team goals. We're going to take a look at Blackburn straight up at plus 290. So Blackburn straight up against Middlesbrough. If we need another dancing partner, we're going to go ahead and throw Sheffield in there for home team over goals. We're going to go ahead and take Stoke away team goals at Preston. So look for Stoke exotic over away team goals. Big money on over 2.5 there. Reading, we'll take a look at over home team goals just because we're priced in simply enough. Reading paying big. And look at your first half, people. Look at your first half compared to your games as well. Some of these first half goals just to get 2 goals for a team in the first half are paying really big. Swansea and Burnley. Burnley will look at over goals there. And if you want to take a flyer on Swansea at 4-1, I can't blame you. So those are the plays we'll look at for the English Premier, for the English Championship. As far as the EPL, I think we're staying away from Leicester and Crystal Palace. We're going to look for goals in Fulham and Bournemouth. We are going to maybe take the correct score, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 in favor of Nottingham Forest because we're getting extreme odds there. We're going to look at home team goals for Tottenham. We looked at Rich Arlison prop for 2 goals, but just not paying enough against his former team. So we're going to avoid that. 2 goals maybe for Sir Maximum in his game, Newcastle at Man United. But we're going to look for over goals in that game. It sounds like we have plenty of plays, so maybe I'm not super thrilled about jumping on Arsenal at Leeds. Maybe a tighter, low-scoring game than expected, although it could open up. West Hampton, I think it is as an angle we will try to exploit. West Hampton on the road, Southampton, we're going to get really big payouts there with West Hampton laying goals. And the over, Aston Villa, they're playing well too. If you think that they're due for goals at home against Chelsea, just for being on that do list. But you can look at Aston Villa and Chelsea in that scenario with some over goals. And I think you can look at over goals in Man City and Liverpool all the way up to 6. So have fun with this. There's some opportunity. Again, don't bet what you don't have. But we just went over everything that we can throw some big odds at. And if we do some small parlays and hook them together, we might get lucky, get a big payout, and we'll be smiling the next time that we do the show. All right, so we'll come to you next Friday. We're going to try to keep it to an hour, all right? We're at 1 hour and 40 minutes today. That's too much. We got to trim it down to an hour. You don't want to listen to soccer. But, split it up into the segments if you got to. Worth a deep dive of the EPL and the championship. Mainly the EPL. We really deep dove into that. We didn't even touch half of the championship games, but that's all fine. Okay, thank you for tuning into the Friday Soccer Paycheck. I am Stephen Murray. This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network. We are on Sunday morning live, 6 a.m. with the round robin. We will see you then.